kids ready, they call it Pub Week. But here at JHS, we call it the most wonderful time of the year. 2, 3, and. So what the boys don't know is that this Christmas book that we play is a trick that I play on them, because Christmas is just jazz. All of the nostalgic Christmas tunes are still aimed at the boomer generation. They're from the 50s and 60s. They're still on the radio. And they use a lot of jazz harmonies. They use a lot of jazz idioms because jazz was still very popular. So learning all these tunes, they get to study actually a lot of different styles. This coming up is the first Noel, but it's set as a bossa tune. It's like we went over it this morning, gentlemen, and again at dress rehearsal. Oh yeah, that's at the Authority. Oh, we have flugels. Are they in tune?
Yeah.
Are they in jingles?
Yeah.
Okay. They play for 30 seconds. Here we go. I'll Be Home for Christmas. This one's got a sweet sax solo in it and a trombone solo by Mr. Hadar Ezadi.
So sweet right now. So
Here we go. So, there's a publisher's company for the music that we purchase. I don't need to name them, but they come up with arrangements in very specific styles for jazz band. For example, and then they name them ridiculously, like It Came a Samba Midnight Clear, or Swingle Bells. This one is titled, yes, God Rest Ye Mambo Gentlemen. I will let you guess as to the style.
Here we go. One, two, 1, 2, 3, hey.
have two more tunes left for you this evening. Before we get to the good stuff, the Mariah Carey. Gentlemen, if you perform with the marching band, you guys take your seats because we're going to do the march to close out the concert.